When we're older, it's not just enough to be in a calorie deficit to lose weight. We need to focus on foods that are gonna help us with hormone balance. Hello fam, and welcome to my channel. My name's Melissa Neal, and this channel is all about helping you, if you're a woman over 40 or like me over 50, get in fantastic shape. And we can absolutely do that, and it's never too late to get in shape. So what I'm going to cover in this video is the foods that we can eat that are fantastic for hormone balance. I made a video recently about how to balance your hormones, and I will link this video in the description. It covers everything from exercise, diet and lifestyle to balance your hormones, but I know that many of you wanted me to explain more about food, so that's what I'm going to do in this video. And what I'm going to cover is the foods that are going to be great for hormone balance, the foods that we should avoid, and what we need to be thinking about in terms of taking our protein high and calculating our calories and macros that are really going to optimize our hormone balance. So let's talk about the foods we should eat. It may not be a surprise to you, but broadly we should be eating a healthy whole foods diet. And what does that mean? Well, that means things like eating whole grains and real foods. And I like to talk about if it can walk, swim, fly, or it grows in the ground mainly, but it could be in a tree, then you can eat it. If it's something that's been man-made or processed by humans, as a rule of thumb, try to avoid those types of foods. And there are some foods that are absolutely fantastic for hormone balance. And what we need to be thinking about is an anti-inflammatory diet, and that's really great for women over 40. And these anti-inflammatory foods are absolutely brilliant for hormone balance. So they're things like oily fish, fish oils, berries, tomatoes, green leafy vegetables, cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, peppers and mushrooms, avocado, green tea, and would you believe it, 70% cocoa, dark chocolate is great. So I've covered the foods that are really great for hormone balance. And let's talk about the things that we should avoid if we possibly can. So they're things like trans fats, and this is found in a lot of processed foods, and high fructose corn syrup is in a lot of pre-prepared sweet food. And we should also avoid artificial flavours and sweeteners and chemical preservatives. So the other really important thing we need to think about when balancing our hormones and having the right kind of food that are going to support weight loss as well as hormone health, and that's our macronutrient content. We've got our micronutrients, and micronutrients are really important too. They're the things that give us vitamins and minerals, but we also need to be thinking about our macronutrient content, and that's our balance of our protein, carbs and fats. And when we're over 40, it's really important that we take our protein high. A good way of proportioning this out is 35% protein, 35% carbohydrate and 30% fats. And you can plug that ratio into an app like MyFitnessPal. But we also need to be thinking about our calories, and I don't like women over 40 to go below 1300 calories, and ideally for most of us we should be over 1600 calories. Why? Because the lower we go in calories, and I've done this before myself, gone really low in calories, and I wasn't as in good shape as I am now being on higher calories, and that's that it actually damages our metabolism. And what we need to do is try and fire our metabolism, and the best way of doing this is actually to spread our meals through the day. That's also really good for hormone balance. So a good range of calories would be something in the region of 1600 calories to 2000 calories, and it really depends on what your current weight is, what your age is, what your activity level is, and lots of other factors. I'm going to run through it briefly here. If you want a video explaining how to do this in detail, I will link that in the description and at the end of this video. So in terms of our macronutrient content, the most important thing to think about when we're balancing our hormones is actually taking our protein high. So what does that mean? I like to talk about 1 gram of protein for every pound in body weight, which is actually quite high. So if you're a 150-pound woman, that's going to be 150 grams of protein per day. And if you weigh over 170 pounds, go for your goal body weight. 1 gram of protein in every pound of your goal body weight will be enough if you're over 170 pounds. So what would that look like? Well, that would look like something like 110 grams or 4 ounces of chicken breast. It could be the same weight in white fish. It could be 2 eggs or more if you're just having egg whites. It could be 200 grams or 7 ounces of beans and lentils, or 200 grams or 7 ounces of tofu. It could be 150 grams or 5 ounces of Greek yogurt. It could be 150 grams of a low-fat cheese like cottage cheese. There are actually some carb sources that are high in protein, which are rye bread, oatmeal and quinoa. And a vegetable which is really high in protein is green beans. The next thing we need to think about is carbs, isn't it? And I said about 35% of your macronutrient intake. So that's going to be between 100 grams and 200 grams of carbs a day. And I don't like to go really low on carbs for women over 40. I've talked about this before. We need carbs for really important things like brain function. And you know how much we get brain fog at this time of life. We also need carbohydrates to be able to work out properly, and working out, particularly strength training, is gonna help us lose weight. So skipping carbs in the long term, it does a lot of damage. Some fantastic carbohydrate sources are white potato, sweet potato, rice like basmati rice, brown rice, oatmeal, which I talked about before because it's also high in protein, and anything that's whole grain. So if you're going to eat bread or pasta, go for whole grain because it actually keeps you fuller for longer, and it's also less processed. And it's really important that we get our good fats in. And I did talk about that in some of the foods that are really fantastic for hormone balance. But good fats are things like oily fish, fish oils, avocado, olive oil, MCT oil and coconut oil, and nuts are absolutely fantastic. And you can have them in the form of a nut butter. I do run weight loss programs for women over 40, and they all include diet plans like this, so I will link those in the description. You are going to find if you implement a diet like this, it's really going to help with your hormone balance and feeling more energetic and more full of life, because women report to me when they go on my meal plans that they tend to have more energy, because eating these healthy whole foods is really going to help us feel much better, give us hormone balance, and it can even help with some of those menopause symptoms that we experience. And if you like this video, do give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button and get the bell notification so you're notified when my videos first drop. And do also give me a follow on Instagram and TikTok, where I do daily posts on all this kind of stuff to do with fitness and weight loss for women over 40.